Anderson County Council passed on second reading the $345 million budget on Tuesday night for the next fiscal year. What are some of the highlights of that budget, Rusty?
I think the biggest highlight is the additional money for the Sheriff's Department. We always try to make sure that we are even, if not above, the pay for local law enforcement agencies. They've done several new things that they want to implement this year, like extra pay for special duty SWAT teams and things like that. It's very progressive, very realistic, very forward-thinking budget, and so that's probably the biggest thing that we're working on in the budget right now. But the number one job of the county council is health, safety, and welfare, and so we just want to make sure that that's done, and it will be done. All council's in complete agreement on that, and they've looked at it and talked to all the representatives from the Sheriff's Department. So that's probably one of the biggest things in the budget right now. You know, last year they added rural deputies, something that we were really happy to see. And so they've been doing a great job patrolling the rural areas. So you're going to see somebody from the Sheriff's Department in every area of the county. And we're very happy about that. And so council supports what the Sheriff's Department wants to do.
Are there raises for all employees in this budget?
At this point in time, but there are lots of things that are shaky. But yes, I feel confident the council will have increases for county employees.
Remind everybody why the budget's shaky until the very end.
Well, what we'd like to do is find out exactly what the state is going to do on their budget, because we have many items in the state budget that are controlled by the state budget. And they will probably go into session not next week, but the week after. And it's always prudent to see what that's going to shake out. So we have projects in there. We have aid to local subdivisions, all of those things, and they're not final till they're final. Council has to, by law, have a budget by July 1, and they always have a budget by July 1. And there's some additional meetings. Then we'll be meeting with some additional department heads, looking at things like that.
Any tax increases in this year's budget?
At this point in time, there are no tax increases in this year's budget.
Any more money for roads and bridges?
We're going to be receiving some extra money, and that's going to come from the state as well as the county. So we're expecting a whole lot more money than we have in the past. It still won't be enough. And we're finally, as you know, you're seeing the evidence of the penny sales tax passed by the state. So we're now beginning to see the fruits of that in Anderson County. I think it took a while for it to trickle down to us, but now we're seeing those things like the paving on Whitehall and really all over the county.
And the November referendum is now, they're looking at excluding groceries. When will we know that? Next week at the delegation?
Again, when we're talking about, depending on the state budget, we, as well as Greenville, would like to exempt groceries. And the law as it currently stands, you can't do that, but we have every reason to believe that they're going to approve that, and then will allow Greenville County and Anderson County to exempt groceries.
Then the council will have to vote on changing the referendum?
Yes, they would.
And how much would that impact the road money we get?
Well, if it stays as it is, you probably get around $50 million, and if you take that out, it'll probably be in the $30 million area. But still, I think it would have a better chance to pass if you exempted those items.
We're talking about law enforcement, but what's the latest on the new law enforcement center, the new detention center being built?
Well, the plans are almost complete, and we're waiting for the final number on what the cost is going to be. And so that's where we are right now, and we expect to have that in 2 to 3 weeks also.
The last one we had was what, 74 million?
70, but with inflation, we don't know what that number is going to be. But regardless of what it is, the county has to build a jail. We don't want to be in the position of other people who are told when to build a jail, how to build a jail. And I think that what council's come up on our jail is modern and will serve the county for many years. Jail's going to take 18 months if it takes a minute, because it's a huge jail. But we've already cleared the area out. All the utilities are there. Everything that we could do in advance has already been done.
So once all the hurdles are cleared, that within 2 years it ought to be up and running?
Yes.
We're talking about law enforcement. Since last time we met, Belton asked the Sheriff's Department to take over their city police. Why are some small towns starting to do that, and how will that work?
Policing in small towns all across the country is very, very hard. There are also fewer people, men and women, who want to be police officers. And to be police officers in this day and time requires a lot of training. and police academy, but continuous training like that. Plus you have vehicles, plus you have all of the things that go along with the police officers get up. And for a small town, it's almost impossible to carry that burden. And by joining with the sheriff's department, which we know that other people will want to do this, the sheriff's department can assist and help them with those items. Plus, if say you're in a 4-man police department and you got a chief, what are your odds of promotion? Not very good. But if you partner with the Anderson County Sheriff's Office, true, under this arrangement, those deputies will serve only in the areas of the town of Belton, and the town of Belton will pay for every bit of it. But those officers can say, yeah, I really like working here in Belton, or they can say, yeah, I might want to become a road deputy, or I might want to do something else. So their chances for training, because the sheriff's department does a lot of in-house training, which they always make available to local municipalities anyway. But this way they're in the system, they're getting the training, they're getting everything that a larger organization can provide in a very professional organization.
And the smaller towns have trouble matching salaries as well, is that correct?
Well, it's almost impossible because a lot of them have limited tax base.
The other big news, I think, since last we met was the significant movement at the Chicola Mill and Honeypath. Let's talk about the $2.65 billion grant from EPA, and didn't Senator Mike Gambrill and Representative West get another $1 million?
Senator Gambrill and West got $1 million last year.
Right.
But we used that $1 million to leverage to get this $2.3 million. So the 2.3 will do the basic cleanup, which needs to be done, and then we will get into the redevelopment stage, which we already have some conceptual drawings on how the Chicola Mill Village could look. It's going to be a great project. It's going to take a little time, but we're moving out rapidly right now.
And how will that help transform that area? Because it's just been vacant a long
Well,
time.
it looked like a bombed out area, and it had a lot of vandalism, and people would periodically set it on fire. So instead of having that bombed out area, you're going to have a nice village within the village, and I think it's going to help everybody in that town and help that whole neighborhood.
One other thing I think a lot of people didn't think about much about until the recent news was the Anderson grain elevator expansion. Kind of reminded everybody that ag is still a big industry in Anderson County. What will this expansion do, and how important is agriculture to the county's economy right now?
The old county motto, where agriculture and industry meet forever and a day. And people forget about that, but it is still very, very true. If you look at the agricultural community in Anderson County, it's tremendous. And it'll remain to be a tremendous part of the economy. But that grain elevator will serve everybody within a 100-mile radius. And it was done with a grant from the Department of Agriculture to the Farm Bureau. And in addition to adding more storage, which they desperately need, they're also going to be dressing up that whole area. So in that section, when you ride by there, you have those storage bins over there, but they're going to have a brand new office/store. It's really going to look good, and it's going to provide a purpose. Not only will it serve, people in South Carolina, but you'll have people from Georgia, North Georgia coming over here to use that facility. And we just think it's a great economic boon to the county. And you were there, and you saw the number of people involved in agriculture there. It was a great day for Anderson County, and we're very happy about that.
And it kind of predates even the Farm Bureau a little bit. Mr. McLeese and a group of local citizens saw the need and
got together and did it. And it was a homegrown enterprise, and it's still going strong, and it's going to go even stronger now. And it's really, like I said, going to dress up that part of Whitehall. Just we're excited about it all the way around.
Those are the kind of things that seem to have legs and last, that local citizens see a need, put together a group and get it done.
Well, there's so many things that local citizens did a long time ago that last. I went to the 90th birthday party, Commercial Bank in Honeypath. It was formed in 1934. And this is right after the crash. This is 1934.
Not a great time to start a bank.
Not a great time to start a bank. But some local citizens got together and said, we need a bank, and we need to start one because nobody's coming here to help us do this. So 90 years later, it's still going. And you're right, there are a lot of instances of that happening.
Since last time we met, there have been a lot of events. Saluda River Rally had perfect weather, big crowd. Rhythm on the River had to be moved to Sunday, but it drew another record crowd. Why does the county invest so heavily in recreation as a priority over the last decade or so?
Well, because we never had before. And people want recreational opportunities. I mean, go to Kid Venture today and see how many people we have at the splash pad over there. Go to Dolly Cooper any day of the week. The Rhythm on the river, there's 7,000 people. Now that's 7,000 people on a Sunday afternoon for an event that had to be moved to another time. And they still had tremendous attendance. And you were there last week, and you saw me float down the Saluda River, and it was a wonderful time, and people enjoy that, but they want that. And in addition to that, they love our disc golf courses. We are working now with the town of Belton because the town of Belton wants to build pickleball courts, so the county is assisting the town of Belton Recreation to build those pickleball courts. So people want recreation. At the council meeting last Tuesday, we did a lease. Councilman Sanders and the members of Mount Zion Church had been talking. Well, we cannot do work on churches. So there's a 501c3 that's been formed to Sandy Springs Park, will allow us to do more maintenance and more upgrades because we'll be eligible for more grant funds in that area, specifically Parks and Recreation Development Funds. Plus, I got a call yesterday from Terrence Hassan about the community center in Pendleton. The county was able to assist them. Hey, we run things, but we also assist people in things like the big Little League tournament that's coming up at the Star Athletic Complex. They're running that, but we're assisting them with money and efforts like that. I just was at a TTI this morning for an event, and this fella came walking up, and he said he'd been at the Veterans Fishing event, and that was a couple of weeks ago, where they took a lot of private boat owners took veterans fishing. Didn't cost anybody anything, and he was one of the guys who took a veterans fishing, and he absolutely loved it. This week at Green Pond, again, not to just keep thinking of Green Pond as a fishing venue, is the county is letting Meals on Wheels have their biggest fundraiser of the year. You say, well, why are we doing that? Well, this is their biggest fundraiser. What do? They feed people. But it's also a recreational activity, and people look for those things. I remember 3 weeks ago we had 3 festivals going on in 3 different towns, but that's because the rain kept hitting them and they just kind of got messed up. And coming up is you have world famous Kerry Jones Car Show, which is always a big event on Saturday morning, so that's coming up pretty quick. But people want those kind of things. People don't want to just go to work and go home and watch television. They want something to do. If you sat here and heard the number of calls that we get from people who want pickleball courts, we need more splash pads. We need to be supporting recreation wherever we can or doing it ourselves.
And with all the transplants in the upstate, a lot of people discover Anderson through these events.
A lot of people discover Anderson through these events. I mean, I got a thing the other day, people from Greenville. We love your Kid Venture better than anything we have. That makes you feel good. And so, you get a lot of people who come over here, and that's good for the local economy.
What's the latest on the next possibly big thing, Piedmont Riverfront Park?
If you walked in the door today, you saw the final plans for that, and that is going to be a stupendous benefit to the town of Piedmont and Anderson County. So we're really looking forward to finding funding mechanisms, which we have some in place, from grant money to development but that's going to be a jewel on that river. And if you've never been down the Saluda River, you owe it to yourself to next year go to the Saluda River Rally. You will have a great time. You'll meet a whole lot of people, and you'll have a whole lot of fun. Rock the Country Festival coming up, and this year Celebrate's going to have music on Saturday night and Sunday night.
Who's our big act?
And I will be able to say that Monday.
It's coming late this year.
But it's already done, but we have to work that out with the
You
entertainment.
tell me if it's going to be something other than country music.
It will be country music.
Anything else going on at the Civic Center this summer?
Well, there's something going on at the Civic Center every day, and some large events, some smaller events, and a lot of community use. So it stays in operation almost every day of the week.
The county's also announced some new economic development, most recently the one in Belton. How will that business help Belton down there?
People say, why do you do economic development? We have enough jobs. Well, one time when all the textile mills were running, they said, we have enough jobs. We don't need anything. There were actually organized efforts to keep anything from coming here. And then they started collapsing one by one, and all of a sudden it was a torrent of them collapsing. So then that's why you try to have a diversified economy. You don't know when somebody's going to close their doors the next day. You do not. So you have to keep feeding that pipeline so that people will have opportunities to grow and prosper. We're very excited at taking that dead Milliken site. It was paying very little tax and putting a company there that's going to provide, to begin with, around 30 jobs. That's a big deal right there. And we need to do more of that, and we try to do more of that. But no good economic development news. That was good economic news for Belton. What they're trying to do up in Pendleton, where the old oil mill was good, we're working hard to find developers. We have a developer to get the Equinox mill moving. The piece of land across from the farmer's market, I think that's finally starting to move.
Chemtex.
Yeah, the old Chemtech site.
How fast are we going to be able to move on Equinox, do you know?
Not fast enough to suit me, because I wish it was already done.
And the Belton thing, is the infrastructure going to be okay with the big trucks and all there?
Everything's fine. It's already been scoped out and looked at. We're very excited this week that Tetramer in Pendleton won a Department of Energy award, a very prestigious award, and the county assisted them when they were getting started with special considerations, and that's in the town of Pendleton, and that has just continued to pay dividends for that operation up there.
Council also approved Tuesday a bid for the 5-mile sewer line on Tuesday. Why is that line so critical, and how long has it been since it's been updated or repaired?
Those lines were put in off the top of my head around the 70s, okay? The 5-mile sewer line, and this is the third phase and the last phase, that is the backbone, the trunk, the major line that serves everything going up here, all up Clemson Boulevard, all of that direction. It was old, it was dying, and through cobbling together grant monies 2 or 3 times and other funding sources, this third phase will make it brand new. And people say, well, it's sewer. Yeah, well, sewer is important. Why is it important? Well, one thing, it's environmental policy. You need to make sure that sewer lines are new, up to date, they aren't leaking, so that's big. And especially with the number of lake properties we have, we want to make sure that we're environmentally friendly, and we also are able to take care of these things. I'm sorry, septic tanks are wonderful. They're good. They leach out, okay?
And you don't want to be eating in a restaurant and they having a sewer problem.
No.
What about the sewer projects at Exit 14? Any completion date on that?
Just waiting on DHEC to give final approval. That's where we are on that.
And how fast will that area develop once the sewer line?
I think it will go pretty fast. You want that development near interstates. It leaves lots of other properties free, clear, and happy, but it's an interstate. You want something, put it there.
And speaking of construction, how close is the renovation of the historic courthouse to being done?
Oh, it'll be August or September. This is tedious work. Anytime that you try to restore a 126-year-old building, it's going to take time, and the weather has not cooperated at all on this. So we're not rushing them. We just want them to do a really good job, so nobody will have to do it again for 126 years.
Well, I know we've mentioned this. Not only have they replaced rotted timbers and roof leaks, but they're repointing the brick. They're trying to make sure everything's sound, and
Oh,
it's starting to look good. The places you can see they've done.
Yeah, but I mean, we had one place where you could just pull out a brick. That's not good.
And seasonally, the farmers market we've talked about, but fresh produce is now the rule of the day, not just crafts and stuff. Have you heard anything about local summer tomatoes? You've been given an update?
I have not received an update on summer tomatoes.
It needs to be on the Anderson County app.
I think that today is the 7th, the day after D-Day, D-Day +1 where we are, and usually you might get some in a week or two, but by the end of June, we should be covered up with them, and I can't wait.
Yeah, the heirloom folks down there said the end of June. That told me that. So, and speaking of seasonally, as we speak today, as we talk, we are 169 days from the unofficial lighting of the Anderson County Christmas tree. It was 47 feet last year. Is it going to be taller this holiday season?
We're still putting fertilizer on it, and the weather's been conducive for its growth, so yes.
So we'll get over 50 feet, and that puts us about 22 feet from the Rockefeller Center tree.
You got to have a goal. You got to have a dream.